Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you haven't done so already, like, comment, and subscribe below. Alright, if you can't tell by the title, I'm going to be telling you guys about the story not only of me being 15 and pregnant, but the most hood rich pregnancy I had out of all of my kids. So, I'm going to give you a little backstory beforehand. So basically, me being young and dumb, I was in a relationship before this person, and it was for like 6 months. That came over with. Once that came over with, that was in like 8th grade. So I was in and out of relationships. Eventually, like I did like a, to be honest, on Facebook. So Facebook, I do my to be honest, and I get an inbox. So the inbox is basically like, can I have your number? And I'm like, okay, all right, I guess. I give him my number. We start talking and we kick it off. So a few months down the line, we start hanging out. We're doing everything, like we on the phone all the time, falling asleep on the phone with each other, everything like that. And eventually, I don't know what made me think like this, but I was so young and stupid that I was just like, I don't want to be at my parents' house no more, so let me come live with you. This was in like October. This was in like October of 2013. So 2013, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be grown, let me come live with you. And we're lying to his parents, saying like, okay, my parents are okay with it, so I can stay. His parents agree, and they're like, whatever. And I was there for like a week, and we were doing stuff we shouldn't have been doing. And basically, one thing led to another, and I found out I was pregnant a few months down the line. So we go through the pregnancy. Pregnancy is horrible. Like, I just had a bad pregnancy there. And eventually, like the week or two before I had King, I was just so fed up of being pregnant. So I'm just like, I'm taking anything, everything, like castor oil, hot sauce, doing a nasty, just everything, trying to get this baby to come out. So I took castor oil the first time, it didn't work. And then the day before his due date, I drank like almost a whole bottle of castor oil. When I drink the bottle of castor oil, I start getting like stomach aches. But since it's a laxative, I'm thinking like, I gotta take a caca, like poopy. And I'm just thugging it out, not thinking nothing of it. And I go to bed. That was probably like around like 9 something at night. So I go to sleep. I get woke up like about, I want to say like 3-ish in the morning with my stomach cramps just get worse. So I'm waking him up. I'm over here like tapping on him. I'm like get the fuck up. Yeah, I don't feel good. And he get up. I'm like, I'm crying at this point because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why is my stomach still hurting? Like, what is going on? Like, why is my stomach still hurting at this point? So I wake him up. He's like, what is going on? And mind you, in the room, it was me, him in one bed. And then there was another bed in there. And it was his 2 sisters, I think, and his brother in that bed. So they get woken up immediately. And they're just like, what's going on? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. So what happened? So basically they start waking up, and I'm like, I tell him, go get your aunt. I told sperm donor That's what I'm gonna call him. I tell sperm donor, I'm like, go get your aunt. We need to go to the hospital because I don't feel good. Like, let's go. I need to go. So he gets, sperm donor go gets his aunt. Auntie wake up everybody in the house. She like, yeah, the baby coming. We gotta go. I'm like, oh my goodness. I just said to wake up the auntie, and the auntie waking up the whole house. And now I'm embarrassed because what if this is not like what I think it is? In my head, I'm thinking like, dang, what if I'm just being over dramatic right now? Like, what if this is not what it is? So she wake up the whole house and she like, we gotta go to the hospital, let's go. Everybody just looking at me like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm just crying through it. So we get in the car. I'm having contractions. And she just like, yeah, that's what a real woman feel. She said something along the lines of that. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, no. She was like, you're an adult now. Mind you, the hospital was like probably like a 30-minute drive or like a 20-minute drive. I don't know. It was like a little bit of ways from where we was at because that's the hospital that my doctor delivered at. So we're driving there. We get there. It's me. I think sperm donor was in the room only. I don't remember if auntie was in the room. I think it was auntie too. I don't know. But me and sperm donor I know was in there. She checked my cervix and I'm 3 centimeters. So she was like, we're going to admit you. Blase. We get in the labor and delivery room. I think it was like probably like around 4 or 5 at this time. So we tried to start calling like my parents, tell them like, oh, the baby's coming, blah, blah, blah. And when we called them, everybody started showing up, this and that. I called my friend. I'm like, I'm having contractions. I'm trying to talk to her. I'm having contractions. So I'm like, hold on, talk to him right quick because I got to work through this. So that happens or whatever. When my contractions started getting really bad and like the pain was just bad, I think I was at a 6. Probably like a 5 or 6 centimeters. And bro, like the nurses just kept coming in there, like they was just bothering me. They was like, do you want an epidural? Do you want an epidural? Mind you, I wrote out a whole birth plan and I gave it to them. And I was like, I don't want an epidural, so don't ask me if I want one. They still asked me. And I'm like, no, do you have any pain medicine? I want to take the pain medicine first, see if it helps. I don't know. They probably gave me some Tylenol, but I don't know what they gave me. It did not help. And that pain was still coming. And I'm like, I need some cocaine because this is no work. I need something strong. So I think eventually I was just like, I think they came and checked me and I was the centimeter before I couldn't get the epidural no more because I think at 7 centimeters you can't get the epidural no more. So they came and checked me. They was like, you're 6 centimeters. You want to get the epidural now because if you don't get it now, the pain is going to get worse and you can't handle it and we can't give you it. And I'm just looking like, what the hell? Y'all gonna tell me I can't handle something like I have to get it? Like they basically talked me into getting the epidural. Like they just really wanted me to get it. So the man come in, he did the epidural, whatever. My body just shaking. It was just horrible. I don't know if I had like a reaction to epidural or what, but my body was shaking and it was just bad. So I'm just like, okay, got the epidural, not in pain no more. I'm going to sleep, but my body's still shaking, whatever. Time to have a baby. My mom, my sister, and sperm donor is in the room. So I had a baby. And this is where it gets good. So basically, day after I have King, sperm donor, what was it? Was it the day after? Or it was the day of? I think the day of me having King, sperm donor family start coming in. They coming in and out, in and out. I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, okay, so it's whatever. The baby just came, like y'all want to see the baby, whatever. So everybody come, go, everybody leaves. Day is over. The day after the baby come, this is where it was just, I was just like, no, like this cannot be happening right now, right after I had the baby. Basically I had the baby the day after, everybody started coming. So everybody started coming back. So first it was, who was it? It was mom, and I think the 5 other brothers and sisters. Well, I think one of them was missing. It was mom, and I think like all 5 of the other brothers and sisters. So we all just in the room, whatever. Then in come the cousin, in come the auntie, in come the niece, in come sperm donors, whole family. And it's a big family. Like, you know, black people family, they always big. When I tell you so many people in that room, it was probably like 15, 20 people in that room. In the room, it was just a queen size bed and a hospital bed and in the bathroom. And a very little space to walk around from there. So the whole time that everybody in there, I'm just sitting in the bed. I don't want to move. I don't want to do nothing. And what just made it so bad was the fact that sperm donor's little brother, one of the little brothers, they coming by me sitting on my bed, and then all I look down and see is this little boy knuckle high in his damn nose, like whole knuckle in his nose. And I'm looking like, ew. And right after that, he gets up and he had the audacity to go touch King. So I'm over here basically kicking sperm donor, like, can you get him? Because I know you see that. That's disgusting. He's like, it's no problem. Like, leave it alone. I'm like, no, this man got fresh skin. He don't need to have boogers and germs like that on him from outside. They already don't wash their hands. So I'm just aggravated. Like, I'm really just aggravated even more than what I am. And then to top it off, the cousin come in there. She like, anybody got a comb? I'm looking like, why you need a comb? Like, are your hair itched? Like, what's the problem? Somebody give her a comb, and she start taking out her weave. She literally took out her plaits in the room. And it's a whole big pile of weave on the queen bed. So I'm just looking like, oh my goodness. And then my friend, she wanted to come in and see the baby. So her and her parents walked in. So her parents come in and they see everybody in the room, and they like, all right, call us when you're ready to go. So she's like, all right, okay, because she really wanted to see the baby. Like, she was excited. So she stays, and while she's there, the nurse comes in to check my stomach. Like, after birth, they have to push on your uterus to check to see, like, if it's okay, if it's doing good, whatever. And after the nurse come in, right after that, or while the nurse is still there, one of them, the breastfeeding expert or counselor, whatever it was, she came in. And when she comes in, I'm just like, okay, I'm breastfeeding. Like, she's just going over a bunch of stuff, like, you're breastfeeding, blah blah blah. Do you know how to do this? You know how to make the baby latch? Do you know? Basically give me information. And she was like, okay, well, let's see. And I'm looking like, what do you mean, let's see? Like, let's see what? I just fed him. And she was like, let's see him latch. I want to make sure he's latching right. So she's like watching me put him on, and he's not really latching. And I'm just like, okay, he's not latching. He's okay. Like, he's been eating. He's fine. If anything, I'll give him formula if he doesn't eat right. Bro, let me get this so I can show y'all. This, I'm gonna use this as my titty, even though the titty's not that big. But basically, the lady is suffocating my baby. Freaking, she put my titty in his mouth. She's holding his head like this, with the back of his head. She's holding his head like this. And I'm like, what the fuck? She put, if this is my nipple, she has my titty in his mouth like this. Like, she got it like this. And he's just screaming, and I'm looking like, ma'am, like, ma'am, you don't see, like, that he's dying? And she basically freaking just keeps doing it, and I start crying, and I'm just emotional, and I'm like, what bro, like, what is going on? So the lady was just like, it's okay, we could try again later, it's okay, just relax, it doesn't always work out for everybody. I'm like, no, it doesn't work out because you're freaking got my baby suffocating. So she leave, whatever. But this is like the worst part of when I first had my baby. The rest of the hospital stay, I don't really remember much from that because I don't think much happened. But the rest of the hospital stay is good, and it comes to the last day. So the last day, since I didn't drive, it was time to plan for me to go home. So me and sperm donor are like, what are you gonna do? So I'm calling the friend that had came, and I'm like, hey, can you pick me? I'm asking her, can you come get me? Because my parents want you to drop me off home. So she was like, okay, my parents will come get you and drop you off home, no problem. But I think it was like around 5 they said they would come or whatever. And I'm like, okay, no problem. But then again, I'm thinking in my head, like, why don't I just go home with sperm donor? Since his aunt is already here and they can get me out of the hospital sooner, like, I'm ready to get out, I want to go home. And I leave, I go with sperm donor. And I text my parents that I'm leaving with him, so they need to come get me later. I'm like, I'm gonna be here, so come get me later. They say, okay. Remember that. They say, okay, they're gonna come get me. So the hours are going by. Still, my parents haven't came to get me. So I'm looking like, what's going on? And I call them and I'm like, where are you? Like, what's going on? You still haven't came. They're like, we're going to be there soon. They keep calling. I'm calling them. They keep saying, oh, we're going to be there soon. We're going to be there soon. We're going to be there soon. Eventually, I just wind up falling asleep. And the next day, I think I was calling them and they wasn't answering or something. And eventually, like, DCF came knocking on the door. So if you don't know what DCF is, it's like child services. So I'm just looking like, what the fuck? Like, who they here for? They must be here for y'all, because I ain't doing nothing wrong. No, it turned out that they was there for me, and my parents made a report on me because they claimed that I didn't want to come home. So at this point, I'm boiling already. And then the DCF ladies, it was 2 DCF ladies, plus I had a counselor at the time for pregnancy and whatever. So she was there too, 2 DCF people, and then also police officers. So I'm just looking like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, literally. And I'm just already boiling. And then DCF people like had the audacity to really try to take my baby car seat and was like, well, if you don't want to go home, then we're gonna take your baby. When I tell you that, like, that broke me down to the point where I was just boohoo crying and I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm just like, nobody came to get me. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm looking like nobody came to get me. I don't have a car. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't walk to the bus and get on the bus and do all of that, carry everything home a day after leaving the hospital. So my parents eventually come and I'm looking at them like, why would you do that? Like, y'all must really hate me. Like, y'all got some animosity towards me. And it really just made me look at them like, you had the audacity to call DCF on me that right after I had the baby. They didn't want me to have a baby at all though, so it was kind of understandable. Like, through my whole pregnancy, I was like, oh, you're not gonna be nothing, blah blah blah, you're a whore, you're this and that. So I'm just like, whatever. Eventually, I had to get in a car with them and go back to their house. And I'm just looking like, that whole situation just made me so, that whole situation just made me so depressed. And like, I was crying and I was just so depressed. I had such bad postpartum depression from that whole situation. Because I'm like, if they would really do that to me, like, what else would they do? It just made me think like more like about like what are they capable of. But I don't know, it was just a crazy experience for child number 1. If y'all want to hear about child number 2, child number 3 was okay. Child number 3 was good. That was the best experience I had. But if y'all want to hear about child number 2 with the same father, that's a whole different story to tell. It was horrible. That experience, oh my goodness, that experience it wasn't even hood rich. It was just sad. Like, that story was just really sad. If y'all want to hear that though, like this video and comment down below what else videos you want to see or hear. Just let me know.